Hey folks, welcome to RoL Elf. It's been a while since I was able to give you guys an update on the Elf license or really much of anything, but I've got a bit of breathing room right now and so I'm back to work on it. So I thought I'd share with you guys a bit of the proposed changes, the feedback that I got from my lawyers on this one, and talk a little bit about what I like, what I don't like, where the Elf license sort of is now, where it's going. So let's have a look. Now, the first change that was sort of suggested, and this is one I don't like, and I'm gonna probably say, whoa, let's undo this one, is the removal of the product identity sort of definitions and everything that hinged on that. Now, the reason why I don't like this is that what the Elf license sort of originally did and what I want it to still do at the end is it hives off certain things that are kind of secondarily protected by default. And what I mean by that is things like character names, worlds, those sorts of things are sort of additionally protected. So that if you say, I'm giving away everything in Chapter 5, and Chapter 5 happens to include the name of a character, that character doesn't end up being given away unless you specifically say, oh, and I want to include this character. So sort of that secondary level of protection. This is really to make this a much more user-friendly license for people who might be wanting to license content but not using a lawyer. I'm not going to say that this is a license that is lawyer-free. It's always better to have a lawyer or to talk to a lawyer when you're looking at these things. But I think that this is sort of something to try to avoid a particular pain point that I can envision. And that's people giving away more than they mean to. So I kind of want to keep this. There's going to be some dialogue. I could be wrong. Like, I'm going to talk to them a bit more and figure out sort of why and what's going on here. But yeah, this is sort of one thing that is going to have some active thought and discussion and sort of work on it. Now, the other sort of, there's a lot of changes that are just like language changes, tidying up language, tidying up the function. All of those seem to be, progress. Things are improving. The other sort of major changes, and this is sort of a major area of that's going to be sort of further thought, is with regards to attribution. And the issue that comes up with attribution is especially with regards to the deattribution or attribution removal or reattribution. So this is something that was sort of included as a possibility. I'm still trying to figure out if I can make it work. If I can't, it may ultimately get removed, but I'm just trying to see, is this workable? So what these would be is normally the Elf license requires attribution. It says, I got this material from this person and this work. And so that helps you figure out, if you want to use the work that was used in some other thing, you can track it along. You can also, this is also just good for getting credit for the work you put in, these kinds of things. But sometimes people may have a reason why they want to remove attribution. For instance, if somebody out there publishes a work that might be, well, straight up offensive to, to whoever, I don't want a morals clause. I don't want any sort of thing that prevents people or that lets them sort of pick and choose in that fashion. But one of the sort of compromise options was to allow for deattribution, to say, listen, that work that you've put out that might be, might be really offensive or really whatever, you can say, normally I want credit. Please take my name off that particular work. And this is controversial because what really needs to be certain in this is that can't be used as a weapon, can't be used to effectively reintroduce a morality clause by allowing sort of an upstream user to beat up on the downstream user if they don't like their content. So I really need to try to navigate that thing. And this is going to be an area of sort of further discussion, further thought. And ultimately, it might just be that deattribution doesn't work as an idea. But I'm not there yet. I'm just trying to figure this out. The other one is reattribution. And there's various circumstances where you might want to reattribute. For instance, you might have changed your name, or a company might have changed its name. Let's say you start out and you decide that you've got a brand new company, and you decide to call it something like Kobold Textworks. Well, there's already Kobold Press, and they would probably send you a notice to stop operating as Kobold Textworks, at which point you've got potentially other downstream users who've already attributed to your company name that shouldn't ever have existed. At that point, you might want them to update it to point to whatever name you're having to change your company to. Similarly, people might get married, they might get divorced. There's various reasons why people might change their name, and so the reattribution is really intended to make the license able to handle that in a way that isn't a problem. So that is sort of an ongoing issue. I do think that the Elf license here is getting closer to finished, but it's going to be a process, right? And there's going to be time spent on this. There's going to be money, because of course every revision goes to the lawyers, and lawyers aren't free. So that's still ongoing. I'd ideally like to sort of get it right and not, be able to have something to release. But I don't want to release this into the world as a finished product until I think it's done. I want to get this right because it's hard to fix. Unlike some other licenses, I'm not pledging that this is going to be the only and final version, but I'd like it to be if it's possible. I'd ideally like it to be right the first time. So that's kind of where things sit. I'm not going to do a full read-through of this version because I wouldn't run with this version as it stands, or at least without some further discussion, but that's still in process. So let me know if you have any questions. I just wanted to give you guys an update. I am also working on my own game sort of project, my own game system there, and my own sort of game setting. That's currently called Project Monolith, which is a working title. When and if that gets finished, it'll go out under the Elf license. One question some people have asked is how many creators have pledged to release things under Elf, and I don't think anybody has, but I don't want them to. There's certain people who've made inquiries and said, "Hey, I'm a creator. I'm looking at Elf. I'm thinking about Elf, but I don't want anyone making a final decision saying I will definitely use the Elf license until it's done," right? Because till it's done, you don't know what it looks like. I could put something really stupid in there. I'm trying not to, but that's so that's kind of where that sits. I am excited for, and I don't want to sort of name drop, but there are some people who are inquiring about it, and it'd be pretty cool if something ultimately, if people ultimately use this. If nobody uses it, well, that's on me, because I'm trying to make a license that is useful for people. The other question I keep getting asked is sort of, what's in this for you? And if I figure that out, I'll let you know. I'm spending money on this that I will not make back because there are no provisions in the Elf license to earn me money. There's just no way for me to, at least not that I'm aware of, for me to leverage this in order to turn a profit. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to make gaming better if I can. Not sure if I'll succeed, but that's the goal. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know this is kind of a simple update, but I wanted to share with you that it is still in process, and that I plan to make this happen. So thank you guys. See you next time.